Hello everyone, welcome to this daily / weekly race guide. You know the draw here. We're at race A, we're at Sardegna A. Let's have a look at those race details then. We are racing for 3 laps here at Sardegna A layout. It's a grid start and we are on sport soft tyres. Now, as you can see in the background, we are racing some Porsches. So the old Porsche is the one to go for. I think it's the 993. Do not quote me on that one. I always get the Porsches mixed up because of their naming conventions, but you can see the old one in the background. That's the fastest one on the straights. Sardegna A is a fast circuit, but this race can get a little bit carnagey because this Porsche doesn't have any brakes. So let's jump to the race. I'll take you through some tips, tricks, and another lap guide as usual. Here we are then at the start of the grid, and oh, I was right, 993, there you go. You can see it's mostly of those with the odd GT3 in there as well, the more newer model. Because it's a faster car, basically, in a nutshell, as we get ready with the grid. Now, the critical thing with the grid, you are going to need traction control here, so make sure you whack that to 1. I nearly forget here, I'm looking for my dials there, and we go to 1. Happy days. Here we go then, as we head across start finish line. We start the race. Now, obviously, turn 1, a very sharp corner. You see my brake balance, -3. People always ask me about brake balance. Always check the description, it's always in there. Heading down towards turn 1, very sketchy corner. This is actually my second race on the daily race A. I'm going to do another video with my first one because it's a bit carnagey. But coming through here, on the first one, I got absolute pile drived. On this one, though, we all settle down and we all get through it. Happy days as we then come through this left-hander. You can see how much oversteer this car has as well. Very sketchy car as we head towards the left-hander. This light blue driver figures that he doesn't need to brake it where everybody else does. It was diving everywhere. I mean, he made the first corner, to be fair to him, but yeah, it was trying to outbrake everybody. It doesn't really work though when you try and do that, because eventually you will outbrake yourself. It just clips the grass there, and the Frenchman just goes by me there as well. As we head towards the left, then see that outbraking maneuver. Gets it stopped there, to be fair, as we come through left-hander. And I'm going to try and get a move on the French driver. Not going to quite work out yet here, as we're on this long back straight. I'd say it's a fast circuit. So this is where you will drop the new Porsche models, because you will just fly ahead. And you can see that from behind, actually, I think, as we continue now towards the sharp left-hander. Slight tap there, the Porsche in front. That was accidental, of course. As you see, the light blue driver, once again, completely outbrakes himself and heads off there. Another person in the barrier in the newer Porsche. Little Nick. And, or Il Nick, should I say, as we go on the left-hand side there. And there's another new Porsche up ahead as well. So you can quite quickly see how the acceleration here really helps this car, as we then chuck it into the left. Not very well, to be honest with you, but we get a better run on this Porsche down the inside then. So we've made quite a few positions in this race already, as we then hit the left-hander. We get it stopped and accelerate away. Happy days. There's Augustine in the distance as well. Shout out to you, my friend. As we are now going to go on a bit of a lap guide. Well, when we get towards the first corner, of course. This last corner, again, look how sketchy it is. You can see the car trying to rotate. That's why I put it on -3, because there's going to be a lot of weight transfer happening. So hopefully that helps with the weight transfer a little bit. But we're going to head down towards turn number 1 then. And what you're going to do is you're going to look on the left-hand side. There's a bit of a red mark there on the barrier. That's what I'm using as a brake marker here. A huge braking distance here, but you do need it. For some reason, this car doesn't have any brakes, so use that marker there, drop to 3rd gear, and then you should make the apex. We just missed it slightly there, but you can see how it would work. So we continue on there. So we're actually going to catch up with this German driver. Very sketchy driver, this driver. Was wiping everybody out in the first one. The video is about him, by the way, in the future, but we'll talk about that after. Anyway, this corner, 50 meters is your marker, so make sure you brake at the 50-meter board. What you want to do is you want to stay tight on the left to give you a good run out the right. That's what I would personally do. Now, you can see here, I do get given space in this race, to be fair. And as you head towards the right, I don't use this as a marker, but there's another red marker there, which is very useful in terms of a marker for this corner and your brake marker as well. But yeah, you want to stay to the left here to give you a good run out of this corner, and you can see how that works there, straight off the bat there. Easy, good run. So we're going to head now towards this left. This left, very hard corner to get right. It really, really is. I'm using the 50-meter board here as a reference. It seems to be a good reference to me. Very obvious as well, because you're going to be right above it as you head into that braking zone. So you're going to drop to 3rd gear here. And you want to keep it tight and then try and accelerate as best as you can out there. I have to not accelerate as hard, as quick. As Augustine there makes a little bit of a mistake. But we get past there, up to P3. And then we have this long run. So obviously, if you've got slipstream, you're going to have to brake much earlier than you expect as well. Now, I want to really stay in 5th gear here. And the reason I want to stay in 5th gear is because I'm about to hit the braking zone. I don't want the gear delay. And the brake marker that I would use is the 150 meter board. You may want to brake a little bit before that just to be safe. You may want to brake a little bit after if you're being a bit of a daredevil, but that's the marker I would use here. And drop to third gear. Don't drop to second. Now, I kept finding that if I dropped to second, I was changing into third gear very quickly, and I was straight into the power band in third anyway. You can see that there. It didn't really bog down too much. So staying third gear really is helpful. Now, as we had hoped here, you really want to try and stay right as much as possible. So you see a lift there, and basically you want to then dab the brake and chuck it into the left. Now, occasionally I was doing this in fourth gear. I think it's better to do it in fifth. I really do think it's better to do it in fifth. I think it balances the car more. You can see that I've dropped to fourth on this lap, but on the very next lap I did it in fifth. And a couple of times I was doing it in fifth in practice. It really is the better gear to be in for that left-hander. As we head towards the last corner, 100 meter is your brake marker there. Or the 100 meter board anyway. A nice easy marker there for you to use as well. And again, third gear, second gear there. Just accelerate out. You're going to see how quickly we end up in that rev range. So potentially third gear may be better at that corner because you have that gear delay shift that I always mention in road cars. You know, when you change gear, there's a bit of a delay before you end up in the gear, and you can see there the car wanting to rotate, so just be careful of that as you lead that last corner. Anyway, we head towards the line. This is the final lap now, and we just hit the rev limiter there, so we lose out on fastest lap because of that. But yeah, I don't, the race is sort of like a load of people crash at the start and then that's sort of it. And it's a bit short again because it's daily race A. So you might want to do this, you might not want to. Just be careful of your SR as always. But that's going to be it for race A. Let's jump to race B then, where we head to America. Welcome to Laguna Seca then for race B. And you can already tell in the background we are racing in Group 4. But let's have a look at the race details then. We are racing 5 laps here at Laguna Seca. It's a rolling start, so do be careful of that last corner. And we are on racing hard tyres. Now, yes, Group 4. Race B, usually an FF Fest, probably is an FF Fest to be honest. The Audi TT is very good here, but so is the Megane Trophy apparently. I use the Audi TT just because I'm really used to it. I got a world record here in the past. So let's jump to the race. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, an actual fantastic race actually with some really good moves and also a lap guide to boot. So here we are then at the start of the grid. Group 4, so pick what you like, but as you can see, it's quite an FF Fest with the Megane trophies in there as well. We got a Corvette as well near the back for some unknown reason to science. However, obviously at the start of the grid, if you're at the back, you're going to have to do the last corner, which means you are at a bit of a disadvantage. Last to first races, if you're into that sort of thing, or last to try and gain as many positions as possible, you ain't going to win this race unless you have a significant skill advantage, or there's an absolute Narnia Fest, Shadow Realm crash, whatever you want to call it, right at the start. So you can see here, we're starting well before the last corner here, and you're going to see actually the German driver in front in the TT get it wrong. So this is what I mean about last corner. Just be careful of it because you can ruin your race straight off the bat on the first lap, even before the first lap to be honest. We're going to head towards turn 1. We're going to go straight to the lap guide while also trying to overtake the German in front of me here. So as we head towards turn 1, I'm actually going to stop this really early. Right in the distance there. So after the first brake marker, literally there where the cones are, that's what you're going to use as a brake marker, okay? We'll talk about it in future laps. But use that as your brake marker there. I think it's number 4 from memory. And you can see that down the inside, very, very tight gap there that I made for myself. But we get past the German all the same. So as we head up towards the right-hander, the most common marker that I use here is where the darker gravel is there. That's going to be your marker. Depending on which car you're in is obviously where you're going to brake. But that's the marker you use. It's in your peripheral vision. You're sort of looking there anyway as we then come in. Watch out for the sausages. Very deadly sausages as we continue on now towards the fast right, and you're basically looking at the end of this curve. So as the curve starts to end, you want to start turning in, otherwise you're going to clip the gravel and go off, or clip the sand and go off. So you always turn in just before it ends. Lovely line through there on this lap. Happy days, jobs are good, and take a drink if you're playing that game. As we head towards the left-hander now, on the right side we have the billboards. So just use the start of the billboards there as your marker. That should be fine and dandy. And again, this corner is the best place to overtake. So if you actually want a really detailed Laguna Seca guide, check out my channel. There's a really, really, really detailed guide about overtaking, defending, and all that good stuff at this circuit. That's going to be in the description for you. As we head towards the left-hander, the number 2 marker here is your best bet. Now, I was struggling really a little bit on this corner. It's very hard to do. We're racing hard tyres as well. You don't have as much grip as you expect. Fortunately, we nailed it this time. Again, be careful of that sausage. Be careful of running wide there on the exit as well as we head towards the corkscrew. Very hard corner this one in the grand scheme of it. So I use that white line there now. I think somebody recommended this to me actually. But basically I brake just before that. can notice I'm on the brake and a little bit on the throttle. That's because we're going over a crest of a hill, so I'm trying to make sure the car stays straight, so the braking's 100% efficient. Click the left. You want to sort of straight line the right as much as possible, but be careful about cutting. And then this left is all about lifting a little bit. Now I dabbed the brake a little bit here because I was a bit unsure on this first lap, but you notice how I didn't really do that much in the grand scheme of it in terms of inputs. I want the car to roll through there. Your number 2 board there is the marker that I'm using for this daily race. You can also use the grid or positions on the left hand side. That's a good one. 4th gear through there in the Audi TT. Nice and easy as we head towards the last corner now. And I was using the number 3 here. If that gets wiped out, there is a couple of markers you can use on the left hand side. But as I say, there's a very, very, very detailed ultimate track guide at Laguna Seca. You can check that out in the description. And you can see how close we get to this Corvette. So now it's time for some racing, folks. And that's the other part of this guide or weekly video that you like, isn't it, really? The racing. So the Corvette goes towards the right, so we go, okay, we'll stick towards the left. Best place to be here with the 180-degree turn, essentially, as we then turn in here, nice and easy. Keep it tight, and we're always going to get that position. No way you're going around the outside there, and we keep that. So you notice I say 3rd gear there as well. That's to avoid any wheel spin. But we have 2 Megane trophies coming up next. Now, this car actually performs better than I expected at the circuit, if I'm honest. The Megane trophy is very, very good here. So if you don't want to use an FF car, go with the Megane trophy, but the FF car may get you on the straights. That's the one thing you got to be wary of here as we chuck it into the left now. You can see how we're catching slowly but surely, and yeah, where are we going to make the move here, folks? Let's see what happens as we approach the left. I get a bit unsure here. It's very blind to me at this point because that wing is so damn high. I can't actually see where the corner is. Fortunately, we survived there as we head up to the corkscrew now. Any moves up here in towards the braking zone? Oh, he goes a little bit deep there, taps the Italian. I know the Italian isn't very happy with what happens next. So the Italian really forces the other driver off there. They go off to Narnia, and we'll sit behind Pirro here now, 46. I'm assuming a Valentino Rossi fan, to be expected, of course, being Italian, as we then head towards the last corner. So good defensive driving there. Can't really do much here into the last corner. I know I'm going to try and do it on the straight here. Now, initially with FF cars, they're going to struggle at this last corner. You can hear that wheel spin really happening. So they do lose that initially. This is where they start to pull the Renault back in. Look at the speed difference there. So I go for it here. Look at how close we go to cutting the circuit. We don't quite cut the circuit there. And as I say, that second brake mark on the right there, you know, you miss the first one, you use the second one. Happy days. Nail the corner and up into P10. So quite a nice move there, I would say. But still not the best move of the race. That is coming up, folks. That is coming up. Let's advance a bit further on in the race now. And you see a couple of penalties up ahead. So let's see what we can do. Obviously, the penalties are going to reel them into us here, so we can actually have a good final part of this race then as we head towards the left. Now, obviously, these penalties will be for contact and also cutting the corkscrew. They're the main 2 places you're going to get penalties here. So you notice they went side by side there, so I think, okay, I'm going to try and get in on the action here. Now, I don't want to bumper draft the guy in front because it's risk of penalties and all that. The Spaniard lets me go there, so, you know, thank you for that, mate. But the Portuguese driver here covers it off nearly. He left an inch of tarmac there, so I think, okay, I'll go on the inside here of the corkscrew. I should have this position. We both brake superbly well. Nailed it beautifully. They go side by side behind as well. Happy days. Now, you're probably wondering about dirty tyres there heading towards the corkscrew. Because I had at least 1 tyre on the circuit, the game doesn't count it as dirty tyres as much, so you survive basically because you're accelerating. When all 4 wheels have no grip, that's when you really start to struggle. But what we're going to do there, advance to the final lap now because nothing really changes. I nearly wiped out GTR on the first corner because he was weaving and then I got it all wrong. But nothing happened. And we head towards the line. So this is probably your most exciting race of the week, if I'm honest, out of all 3 races. And it's not really the greatest race to race anyway. So this week, in terms of racing, it's not very good, which is the reason for the thumbs down on the thumbnail. Let's jump to race C then, where we are going to head to Japan. Welcome to Autopolis then for race C, and as you can see we are in Group 1 machines, which doesn't bode well for this race, and that's why I made the comments I made previously on race B. Let's have a look at the race details then. First of all, we are racing 12 laps here at Autopolis. We have a rolling start, so you're going to have to be careful about tyre temps and all that good stuff, and also the last corner as well. We are on racing hard tyres. Fuel usage is ×2 and tyre wear is ×6. There's no strategy to this race, which is why it's even worse than it already can be, basically. And I've actually gone with the Toyota here. Now, I originally was going to pick the Audi. Now, the Audi is the one you want to use for qualifying, but you want to use the Toyota for the race, mainly because of that hybrid system, and you will see that in this race. Let's jump to that race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, and also I'll have a look at what overtaking does happen, as well as a lap guide. Here we are then at the start. You see an Audi on pole, to be honest. Now, you're probably going, Tidge, you said the Toyota. You can see most people are in the Toyota. The Audi on pole is a really interesting strategy, actually, and I quite like this strategy from Audi VTEC. So we'll talk about it in a second. As you see, I'm waiting to go here, revving away. Please do this. Get rid of some of that fuel. The fuel, honestly, fuel, I'd check it on lap 2, I think, and it's just pointless. It is absolutely pointless. But you can see how far back we actually start here. Now, traction control isn't needed that much in the Toyota. It might be needed in the Audi or the 16 car, basically. Mainly because it's rear-wheel drive, and this is four-wheel drive. But in this car, you don't really need it. But we do suffer with tyre temps going into the first corner here. Or last corner, should I say. And now we'll start the racing, of course. So we're going to head out there. Now, the hybrid. This is the critical thing. And this is why the Audi is better for qualifying, and this is better for the race. The Audi will lose its hybrid during the race, whereas the Toyota will not. Oh yeah, lap guide. Turn number 1, the orange marker on the left-hand side, the usual marker. Occasionally use the white van man, but not today. It's that orange marker. So yes, the hybrid. So that's why we're using a Toyota. It's purely because of the hybrid, which you will see shortly. We'll leave that corner, and we're going to head towards turn number 2. Now, everyone should know which one this is. It's the tarmac, of course. We always use the tarmac here. Very, very, very good marker, and yeah, perfect one to use. I ain't getting wiped out anytime soon. So basically, you're going to drop a couple of gears here. And I started using second later on in the race, which seemed to be a little bit better. So just keep that in mind. I'm in third at the moment, but I'm suffering with so much understeer from all these cars. Now for the hairpin, it's just basically once you straight line it, brake and turn in. Nothing major there, as we see somebody has already gone to Nani there with a bit of a spin. This corner again is just dabbing the brakes and sort of trying to let the car roll through the corner. The minute you can start turning, accelerate away. Again, you're going to suffer with huge downforce in these corners, so it's very, very dependent on where you are in the given situation. As you head towards this hairpin though, you can see how the barrier changes there from a barrier to a concrete. That is your brake marker basically. Just use that. Just change it accordingly depending on what's happening in the given scenario here. As we took it in. Drop it to first gear will over-rotate the car. Be careful of that. As we leave that corner now, we're right behind the Portuguese driver. Which means I'm going to back off a little bit for this first lap. But basically when that pole on the right side is level with the right hand side of your screen, that's where you would normally brake in this car. Okay, that's your marker and one to use. It's a right hander as well, so it's beautiful. So literally you click the curb, you accelerate, and then you sort of lift off then for this next bit. You might want to dab the brake occasionally as well. And this is all about balancing the car now. As we come through here, you'll notice I'll dab the brakes occasionally. When I'm straight, I'll dab the brake again, and I should drop to second gear. There we go. And again, I'm just balancing the car. When I'm back up to third here, that's interesting. And then again, it's balancing the car through here. No reason to use the brakes there normally. And then finally, for this right-hander, somewhere in that curb is where you're going to brake. Now, depending on the car, the given situation, the line you want to take, there's many lines for this last corner, depends on where you want to brake in. I brake quite late here because I want to take a wide line to try and overtake the guy in front. Whether we do that or not, I don't know. You'll find out. And then we've also got this piece of tarmac here. When you can see that, accelerate. That's your accelerator marker. The minute you see it accelerate, you should make the corner fine and be able to carry on racing. So let's actually start racing then. So that's the reason why you pick the Toyota. The Audi has lost all its hybrid. I haven't. Now in the Audi, you want to be on my +5 brake balance. In the Toyota, you can be +3 to +5. Now that varied throughout the race for me. I'm on +3 at the moment. I did go to +5 eventually, just because I was struggling a little bit in terms of understeer, because I was stuck behind people for so damn long. So going through here, the French driver just runs a little bit wide there, clips the grass. We gain another position, and this is the main way we gain positions in this race. There's no real overtaking because we're stuck on a downforce circuit in dirty air, and this is a problem with this circuit. We struggle with it in Group 3. Group 2 is horrendous, and Group 1's even worse for this. As you see, the Spaniard goes for a move there, gets it a little bit wrong, and then starts accelerating here and just pushes Ian Bow off the circuit there. So yeah. Bit bad that really, to be honest. DJ Swift as we come through the right-hander. I don't know if anything happened previously as we then continue on. So we managed to have a good race though, me and DJ Swift, as we advance a bit further on here. And again, literally, look, somebody makes a mistake, we gain a position. We're only gaining positions here from mistakes. And we get stuck behind DJ Swift here, and you can see the understeer here from just being behind. And I'm talking losing 2 seconds a lap here as well. It's not fun. I've got to be honest, it really isn't fun. I don't know who thought this race combo, but it really, 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 really isn't fun. they really need to think about the races a bit more. You see DJ Swift goes defensive, good bit of defensive driving here. I'm going to try and have to go around the outside. I try and outbrake them by a mile, but I outbrake myself by a mile instead. So we're just going to fall in behind for now. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because you're going to see me absolutely pleb it in a minute. So again, we're trying to catch up to the Spaniard. I was getting frustrated at this point because I want to get by. I want to catch up to other people. So I just changed it to +5. I went to first gear. You see how the car over-rotated. That's accelerated as well. Bit of an issue there. So the Audi's going to... No, sorry. It's not an Audi. It's a Toyota. But IMBO's going to come flying by here. Now, I didn't know what had happened earlier on, so I was a bit cautious. But IMBO was racing very fair to me. So they managed to get that position. And I was at this point, I was sort of just like, meh, I can't be bothered. And as you can see, we advanced a bit further on, and I'm still stuck in the same place because I can't do anything. I really can't do anything. I'm just sat here. Even more so when there's a car in front of the car you're trying to overtake because everyone's slipstream and hybrid. But a little bit of a tap there. IMBO just taps the Spaniard now. So obviously, I don't know whether that was revenge or whatever it might be, but they get a 2-second penalty for their troubles, and we continue on racing here. So fortunately, we are going to gain a position or two now from this. So obviously we gain a position from DJ Swift, and we're about to gain a position from IMBO. So I'm not going to go for the move here. Just brake early here, fall in behind, and then hopefully we can make the move here with the penalty happening. And basically, that's it for the racing, literally. So we actually gain on the leader a little bit. We gain a lot on these drivers. When we start getting into a rhythm, you can see our times have come down significantly, all because we're stuck in dirty air. So this race, just there's no racing, there's no strategy. It's even worse. You know, the fact there's no strategy is bad. The fact there's no racing as well is even worse. Like, who comes up with these race combos? I really don't know. But I don't know. It is what it is. We can't do anything about it. This is daily race C. So if you like Group 1, happy days. You've got a bit of a race for you. Well, you got a drive around the circuit for 12 laps, but yeah, not the greatest week this week, and yeah, it is what it is, I'm afraid. Dirty air plays a big toll in that race. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, as always. Please make sure you like it if you did like it. Make sure you subscribe if you want to, you know, keep up to date with all the videos and all the good stuff happening on the channel. But that's going to be it for me now. Oh yeah, here he is. Should be streaming later. I'll put a stream in the link there for you as well, but I'm going to disappear. Au revoir, farewell. I'll see you again very soon.